Good morning. Today we will learn about inventory valuations, closing inventory. Sorry for the spelling, Okay, so let's say you have a business, and in your business obviously you would have stock, which we now call inventory. So in order for you to know how much profit you make, you need to know the cost of the goods, right? So, and the cost keeps changing. So let's say on the 1st of Jan you bought your inventory. Let's say you sell bottles. You bought 30 bottles, right? And each was let's say $1, right? So your total cost was $30. There you go. Then let's say on the 15th of Jan you again buy 30 bottles, but now since let's say maybe your supplier, you're friends with them, or they give you a discount, he gives you each bottle for $0.95. So how much would that be, guy? I don't know. We'll figure out what that figure is, but obviously it's less than the $30. What could this be? Seriously, let's find out. Yeah, we can do this. Come on, some maths. 0.95, blah blah blah. So what do we do? Whew. This is embarrassing. So 5 goes there, and how much would that be? 0 0 0 5 times whatever is 5. Put 0 here. 0 0 0 3 times 18, and then there's just some other zeros. 1 2 3 5 9 1, and you put 4 zeros. Is not correct. This is not correct. What did I write wrong here? Something is wrong. Oh yeah, it's not 18, it's 21. How do you become 18? See, you guys should have got that. 3 times 9 is 21. No, it's not 21, it's 27. Okay. My brain cells are dead. So that would be 8, and there you go. And so it would be 28.5, right? Let's get this out of here. Okay, and this also. So it'd be 28.5, right? And let's say at the end of the month, 30th Jan, you go there, you buy let's say 40 bottles, and each is for, let's say your supplier is very happy with you, it's for $90. How much is that going to be? Come on, now I think so we all know that's 27. I was just teasing you guys earlier to see if you know anything. Okay, I'm happy you do. Now see, this is a mess, right? Obviously, let's say our total cost, obviously we can calculate it, which is gonna be, what is it gonna be? It's gonna be 50 here. 27 plus 28 is what? 35, 55 plus how much is that? 85, I think. It's gonna be 85. And how many total bottles do we get? We get 100, right? So in this sense, we have what is it called? We have 100 bottles for 85.5, right? And if you do the math, each bottle would then become I don't know, how much would it be? It'd be, how much would it be if you divide this by 100? So it'll be 0.855, right? Really? Is that what it's gonna be? I don't know. Should be. I think so. Unless my maths is wrong here. It is wrong. 30, 28, and 27 is 5. We put 1 here. 4, 6, 8. 85. Yeah. It is like this. Now what? What do we do now? Yeah, so once we are done with this, then we go on to, yeah, so you see this is a bit of a mess. And I say it's a bit of a mess because obviously right now we can say 100 bottles is equal to 85 point whatever. But let's say during the month, obviously you would have sold some bottles. So let's say from the 1st of Jan to the 15th of Jan, you sold 15 bottles, right? So what would the cost of these 15 bottles be? It's going to be the $1, right? And then whatever we are selling it for, we would deduct the cost, right? So if we've sold 15 bottles, we are remaining with 15 bottles remaining. Okay. Then on 15th Jan, we buy another 30 bottles. So now the total amount of bottles we have is, let's say, how much is it? 45, right? Now, let's say we sell again. We sell 10 bottles. From 15th Jan to 30 Jan, you sell 10 bottles, right? And when you sell 10 bottles, you're left with, you had 45, so you would be left with 35. Now here's the problem, right? What is the value of these 10 bottles? Because you can't put it as 1, because 1 is the price for the bottles that were before, and you can't put it as 0.95 because that's the after ones. So how do you know which bottles you sold? So let's say this is the shelf, right? You have a shelf there and you have some, what happened here? How do you delete this? Whoops, we have a problem, Houston. Boom, nope, it's not working. Come on, help. Delete. Okay, let's say you have a shelf and then you have bottles in there. You have bottles. I don't know how bottles are drawn, so let's make it easier. And let's make it, let's say your bottles are boxes. So this is a shelf and you have new shipment, right? Would those new shipments be placed in front of the bottles, or do those shipments go to a warehouse when the old bottles finish, and that's when the new bottles come in, right? So this is a bit of a confusion which happens in business, and it's normal. So to combat this, the guys whoever makes the what is it called, the IFRSs or the statements or whatever, they came up with there are a lot of methods, but the ones we'll look at today are the LIFO, FIFO, and there's another one called AVCO, right? So this is a V. Okay, so first we have let's start with FIFO first. So what is FIFO? FIFO stands for first in, first out. Okay, so first in, first out, which means that the first bottles, the ones we got first, are going to go out first. So as you can see, these 10 bottles that were sold later on, obviously the first 15 ones, since we didn't have any other bottles, they would be taken out from the 30, right? And we remain with 15. After remaining with 15, so we have 15 bottles remaining. What am I saying? 15 bottles remaining, correct? And after they are remaining, now we have the 10 bottles that we are going to sell. So since we already have 15 remaining, we're going to take those 15 out of those 10 out of these 15, and then we would have 5 remaining. Even though we know we have another shipment of 30, we would not touch these. It's like these are still going to stay in the warehouse. They're not going to come up to the shelf that we have here, right? They would not come there. So that's how FIFO works. So if you were going to value it, you would go these 10 would also be valued at $1, right? I hope it's making sense. Okay, so now we have 5 bottles remaining, and then we have 30 in the warehouse. So what do you do now? Let's say we sell another 15. Now how do we recognize the cost? So the way we recognize the cost is these 5 bottles, we would deduct it from here at $1, which would remain, we would have 10 bottles remaining. Then the 5 bottles, we would measure it at $1. The remaining 10, we would measure it at the value of the 30 new bottles that we have. So those 10 would be measured at $0.95, which is 9.5, I hopefully believe. Okay, and then we have 20 bottles remaining, right? So this is, so now if someone was to come and ask us what is the value of stock that you have in your account, right, in your warehouse, so how would we answer them? So under the first in first out method, we would say we have 20 bottles remaining, and all these 20 are worth $0.95. So we would say the total of that would be 9.5 plus 9.5 is 0, 1, 10, 19 bucks, right? So we would say our 20 bottles equal $19. Okay, so they equal $19 now. Let's say and then obviously we continue, and as we know, we had another shipment of 40 bottles which were valued at 0.90, and those come in. So now we have, in total we have 60 bottles, right? And then let's say we sell another 35 bottles are sold again. So we had the original 20, and then the 20 will be valued at 0.95 because that's what their value was, and the remaining 15 that out of the 35 are going to be valued at 0.90. Yeah, so they're going to be valued at 0.90, right? Yeah, and how much is that going to be? Let's say 20 is going to be 19, 15, what would you do? It becomes 9 plus, I think so, it's 13.5, not sure, and I don't know. Yeah, should be that, hopefully. And that would be the total cost of them, which whatever the value it is, whatever the value is. So now what do we do now? Yeah, so if you remove 35, how much do we have left? So 20 goes with this 20, and then 40, and then 15. So we would go 40 minus 15 is what, 35, 25. So we have 25 bottles left at 0.90, which is what's the total of this? Somebody help me, somebody help me. So 25 multiplied by 0.9 is 22.5. Okay, yeah, it's 22.5. Why am I putting equals here? It's supposed to be a times. Okay, so the value of our inventory right now is going to be 22.5. I hope that makes it clear. So this is how FIFO works. Let's make a summary here. Summary. So first in, first out. So if we have 10 bottles and then we have 20 bottles, we will sell the 10 bottles first. Okay, I hope that makes it clear. Next topic, which would be LIFO, which is last in, first out. Bingo. So last in is just the way the word says it, it's the same thing. So what we do is we get see, we got the 10 bottles, and then we had the 30 bottles, and then we had the 40 bottles, right? Man, this typing thing is hard. So this was on 1st Jan, 30th Jan, right? So what do we do now? Yeah, I have forgotten what we do now. No, I do remember. Of course I remember. So what is this? Homogeneous? Really not. I suck at this. Okay. So last in. So let's say the date is 3rd Jan, like before. Some person comes up, he says he needs 5 bottles, right? And on 3rd Jan we have the 1st Jan, we have the 10 bottles, so we would give him the 10. Oh yeah, sorry, this is at $1, this is at 0.95, this is at 0.90, right? So you sell him the 10 bottles, and which is 5 bottles a piece. And how is that gonna go? Yeah, so that's gonna be $5, right? Then on 15th Jan you get another 30 bottles. So let's say in your inventory you have 35 bottles, right? Which is a mixture of the 5 at $1 and the 30 which are at 0.95 now, right? Now some person comes to you and he's like, I need 15 more bottles to sell, right? He buys it from us. What is the cost of these 15 bottles? Let's go first with the FIFO method, right? So if it was FIFO, we would look at the bottles that we had first in our warehouse. We would finish that inventory, so which is this 5 bottles that is remaining from previous stock. We would sell these ones first, and then we would dip into the 30. So we would take the whole of the 5. So 5 would come here at $1, which is $5, and then we would take the remaining, which is 10 from the 30, right? Which would be 10 at 0.95. This is the FIFO method right now. What we're doing, it's a recap, and which is 9.5, and then when you add it, it's 14.5. Bingo. So that is that. That's how you would calculate the cost of those bottles. But now we are at LIFO, and LIFO is the exact opposite of that. So for LIFO, what we're gonna do is this. So we have how do you get this out? Yeah, so for LIFO we have 35 bottles, still the same. We have 35 bottles in inventory, and some person comes and he says he needs 15 bottles. We are selling this, right? 15 bottles sold. I know it's sold, but let's be Indian and say I sold these 15 bottles instead of bottles. Okay, so now what do we do? So the way last in first out says, that's how we do it. So we look at the ones that were the latest ones that we got, which are the batch of the 30 bottles, right? Yeah, so instead of going to that 5 that's remaining from the original 10 bottles, we don't consider that. We stock our shelves. You remember the shelf we had? We stock that shelf with the new ones. The old ones we put it in the warehouse, but the new ones we put it directly onto our shelves. So that I'll tell you why we do that, and it makes a lot of sense for some products. So these 15 will be sold from this 30, the latest batch that we have. The last one that came in is the first one that's gonna go out. So the latest one that we have, we're gonna put it in our shelves, and that's how it's gonna work. So this 15 would be valued at 0.95. Now again, you guys have gotten me into trouble. I'm weak at math. So what's 15 times 0.95? I think it's 14.25. Hopefully. Let's see what happens. Okay. So this is their cost. Now, if you remember before, what was our cost before? Our cost before was, I think, was it also? Let's see, if we did it in FIFO, what was our cost? It was $5 for that remaining, and then we had 10 remaining, 10 at 9.5. It was still 14.5, right? But I think so this is a coincidence, but it's not always like this. But if you look at the inventory that we have remaining, the remaining thing, what we call closing inventory, the stuff that we still have in our warehouse, the cost of that is very different. If we did it through FIFO, we would have eliminated the 5 that we have in the warehouse. That's gone. And out of the 30, 10 goes away. So we have 20 remaining at 0.95. Let's get it straight. So out of the 30, we have we minus 10, and then we have 20 remaining at 0.95 if we go to the FIFO method, right? And whatever that figure is, or actually I need to find out what that figure is, otherwise this whole thing is not gonna make sense. It's $19. Okay, pen's giving up on me. It's $19. But now let's see through LIFO. So through LIFO we know that we were to erase the latest one first. So instead of 30 now we have 15 left plus the 5 that is from the previous stock that was left, and both of these have different valuations. The 15 is valued at 0.95, whereas the 5 is valued at $1. So if you were to add these, so what's this gonna be? So 15 times 0.95 is 14.25, and 5 times 1 is obviously 5, so the answer for this is 19.25. So as you can see, with LIFO, our remaining inventory, which we call the closing inventory, has a higher cost, right? So with LIFO we have 19.25, and with FIFO we have $19. So there's a difference of 0.25, and these obviously are small quantities, that's why we have a small difference. But you can imagine if a company like, let's say, Microsoft, right, they deal in billions, and if they have to choose one of these methods to value their inventory. So let's say if they chose the LIFO method, right, they would be able to write on their balance sheet, or on their balance sheet, or even their their profit and loss statements. They would be able to reduce the cost, not in a way they reduce, their assets increase, right? So so their assets increase. How do the assets increase? I think so we all know we have something called the balance sheet, and on the balance sheet we have assets, and under assets we write bank, cash, and all the other blah blah blah, buildings. One of those assets is your stock, or what we call inventory, right? So if we do LIFO, we get it at 19.25. So we're increasing our assets, so our balance sheet would look stronger. It would show that we have a lot of we have liquidity and our balance sheet is strong, right? On the profit or loss account statement, we have sales, which let's say we had 100. It's not related to the above whatever, and then we have the cost of sales, right? So in cost of sales you write purchases, and you write opening inventory. Let's say it's 20, we purchased 20, 15, blah blah blah, and then we less closing inventory, right? So if you were to write a bigger figure here, 19.25, right? How much is that going to give us? So 35 minus 19.25 is gonna be 15.75. And now we have to minus 15.75 from 100, which would be 84.25, right? Let's say we do the FIFO method now. The FIFO method. It's not working anymore. Why is it not working? Let's do the FIFO method. With the FIFO method, all else remains the same, but we write 19 here, right? And when you minus 19, you get a figure of 16 here, and when you minus 16, you get 84, right? So you can see our profit has increased. It's become 84.25 by going LIFO. And with FIFO, it has it's down, right? So this is another way companies sometimes increase their profits by changing how they value their inventory, although it's not allowed, but sometimes companies just justify. There's a lot of stuff that's not allowed, but companies get away with it for some reason. Okay, so we know this. Generally, if you're doing the IFRS, people don't really like the LIFO system because it manipulates stuff, and it doesn't actually give you the accurate stuff. But you can argue that some stuff, let's say you have let's say you're working in the technology sector, right? We know every year, right? Every year we have new phones, right? So obviously, if there's a company like Apple, I don't know how Apple is drawn, whatever, this is our fake Apple. So Apple, they get new phones, but would it be okay for them to keep on using their previous phones on their shelves, or would they want to put new phones on the shelves? Obviously they want to sell new ones, and the old ones would go back to the warehouse, either get scrapped or whatever happens to them. But those old ones are not going to be the priority. It's the new ones that they're going to put on the shelves, and thus for that LIFO works fine, because that is actually what's happening, and the company is not actually manipulating anything, right? So that's one reason I can think of right now that LIFO is that's how it works for some industries. That's how it can work. Okay, now we continue to the hardest of them all. It's called AVCO. Is it AVCO? I don't know. There's something about weighted average. How is it average written? Average costing or something. I don't know. I don't care. You just need to know how it works. So what this does is that every time you get a new shipment, you recalculate the value of each of that item. So let's say you had 10 bottles at $1. That means it's 10, right? You get another shipment of 10 bottles at 0.90. How much is that? That is $9, right? The total of this is 19, and total of bottles is 20 bottles. You just divide this, you divide that. What do you get? Is that how you do it? I think so. I really think so. That's how you do it. So if you divide 19 divided by 20, you get 0.95. So in this case, one bottle is equals to 0.95 $0.95. This is how AVCO works. So now obviously let's say this is when we purchased both of these, right? There hasn't been any sale. Let's say there is a sale, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say there is a sale. So we have 10 first, we sell 5. We remain with, let's not make it 5, let's not make it easy. Say we sold 3. We have 7 left. 7 bottles at $1, right? We buy another 10, and that is at 0.90. What is the value of the things of the bottles remaining? The value of the bottles remaining should be 7 plus 9, which is how much? 16 16 divided by 17. How much is that? 16 divided by 17 is 4117 blah 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 blah, right? So you say the actual whatever is decreasing. It used to be 0.95, but now it's 0.94. Since we have more of the lesser costing bottles and lesser of the higher costing bottles, so our the total price decreases by this. Now here's the interesting part, right? Let's say you sell another 5 bottles, right? Now here's the tricky thing. Now would you first remove the 7 that are remaining or the 10 that are remaining? Let's say we sell 5, so would you remove the 7 or 10 first? Now the answer for this in under AVCO, or the weighted way to do it, is we no longer have 7 and 10. We now have 17. We lump them and their average cost is 0.94117, right? So we would value what is this? What is this? I don't know, I forget. What is this? Yeah, we would value the 5 we sold on the 0.94, whatever the answer we get there, which is actually 4.7058 something, blah blah blah, and that is the cost of the ones we sold. And how much do we have left? So 17 minus 5 is 12. which you multiply by 0.94117, and the answer for that is 94117 ching is 11.29404. Okay, so this is the value for the remaining what is it called, for the remaining inventory. Now let's say you buy again and you restock your stocks and you buy another 10, and this time it's valued at let's say 0.80. Your suppliers are very happy with you, giving you fabulous discounts, and what do you do now? Same thing, you multiply this by this, you get $8, right? Our 12 already valued at 11.29. You add 8 to that, it's going to be 19.29, and we have now 22 bottles, and then you divide. How much is a bottle now? 19.29 divided by 22. One bottle now costs us 0.87681. As you can see, the cost is reducing because we have because the actual cost is also reducing. But what we have to remember in this, that in the AVCO variation, all of those 22 are lumped together. They are lumped together at 0.876. So there is no longer, if we're gonna have the old ones first or we're gonna have the new ones first go out, that no longer applies. Okay, so now for the closing remarks. So I think so the best way to do it is the AVCO way, because in that way it gives you a average, like, you know, it tells you actually how much you have in the inventory. It doesn't overstate something or understate anything. For FIFO, let's say you have a food industry, right? Even if you have old what do you call it, even if you have new, let's say new chicken coming in, you still have to sell the one that is there before, unless obviously it gets spoiled. If that happens, then obviously you have to throw it. But say it's all good, right? It's sellable, right? You're still gonna sell the one that was there first, and then you're gonna sell the latest one that's come in, because you don't want to lose money, of course. That's how FIFO works. LIFO is you sell the freshest one first. So like I said, phones, no one would want to buy an old phone. I know I buy an old phone because I don't have money, but we're in a good economy where everyone has money, so they would buy the latest stuff. So let's say the technology place. That's how LIFO works. Last in, first out. The latest one that you get in, that's the one you're gonna sell. In FIFO, the oldest one you have, that's the one you're gonna sell first, because you don't want to lose money because you already bought that. LIFO doesn't care about that. LIFO wants to satisfy the customers. That's how you value it. Now AVCO here comes along and it's like, I don't give a shit. I just want everything to be together, and whatever comes in the box comes. So this is like fries. So I remember when I used to work at at Popeyes, you get fries. They just come in that container, and when those fries come in, you have fresh fries come in, and then you just mix them up, and then you give it to the customer. That's what AVCO is. But we have to value the mixing correctly, so that we know actually how much of the value we have left in our container, right? So this one you just lump sum it, and lump sum, okay, I'm forgetting spellings. Lump, okay, bad spellings. you lump sum it. Bingo. And that's how you value inventory. Okay, that's it from me now, and I would be signing off if I knew how to, but just remember, this was a production from forgetting spellings, from Harry Hand. Bye bye.